Hi guys, welcome to another Block Spotlight. Today we're going to be looking at probably the first in the MineChem processing set of machines, and this is the chemical decomposer. Now what this decomposer will do is it will break down materials into its various components and chemical formulas and stuff. So let's have a look at the interface, and what we have here is an input slot there. We have 4 test tube slots, and then we have 9 output slots. We have an error tab here which just says it needs some empty bottles, which are actually test tubes, and I will show you how to make those. In fact, I'll show you now. You make a test tube with, let's have a look, hold on, there. We have 3 glass in a vertical line. That's going to give you 16 test tubes. Now, whether that will stay like that, I don't know. It's one of those recipes that, as this mod is in active development, does kind of keep changing a little bit. At one point here you was using glass bottles and you put 3 panes of glass together, and now is 3 glass blocks is going to give 16 test tubes. So it may change, it may stay the same, but at the moment it is 16 test tubes for 3 glass. It also requires Buildcraft power, and it will maximum use of 20 MJ. And Buildcraft power basically means any machine, any engine, except for the redstone engine. The redstone engine isn't powerful enough to run anything, but the others, as you can see, it's going to use 20 MJ, so, or maximum of 20 MJ, so you're going to need quite a lot of power for this machine anyway. So you're going to need to make sure that your outputs on your engines are sufficient to cope. So blue electric engine should cope fine. Biogas engine, you may need 4 of them running on biomass. Magmatic engine, you probably need 4 or 5 to get it going well. Electrical engine, anything up to 10 unless you're overclocking them. Industrial steam engine, actually probably 2 industrial steam engines will do it because they're putting out 8, so 2 to 3. Commercials put out 4, so again you'd need 5 commercial steam engines or 10 hobbyist steam engines. Combustion engines, there's 6, so you could probably get away with 3 of those to give you 18. So quite a lot of Buildcraft power required, and that is kind of what you will find for this whole process. They do take up, or they do use quite a lot of power, and it will store a good chunk of power as well. And you can see that on that tab there. There's also the help tab here, and this would basically tell us the chemical decomposer takes any item and decomposes it into its chemical parts. It will also split molecules into individual elements, so not all items decompose. Try placing fundamental ions such as iron, clay, wood, etc. In other words, try the vanilla items first. Basically, even some of the wood that you get from these trees here, from extra biomes, that won't decompose. So you basically, I have a microscope here set up so we can check some stuff in a minute, but basically the microscope will tell you what things will decompose into, and the decomposer will then take those items and decompose. And let's start with this one. This is basically how you make the decomposer. You've got an atomic manipulator surrounded by iron ingots with a redstone underneath, and the atomic manipulator, which is just 8 pistons surrounding an iron block. So fairly straightforward recipe, but it does use quite a bit of iron. To power it at the moment, I'm just using a redstone energy cell. As I said earlier, you would use machines normally. So let's throw down a microscope and see if we can find some stuff to throw in there. And we'll just pick a few things. There we go. So if we put cobblestone in, basically it's going to, if we put it in decompose mode, we're going to get silicon and oxygen out 10% of the time, iron and oxygen out 10% of the time, magnesium and oxygen 10% of the time, titanium and oxygen 10% of the time, and lead and oxygen 10% of the time. So this is the important bit, and zinc as well. So if we throw that in there, we're going to need to put some test tubes in. So let's throw some test tubes in, and we'll do a whole stack. So we would expect to get probably, well, a very small result out of this. You're not going to get some for every single cobble because of the low chance, but there we got an iron, a lead and 2 oxygen. So we got 2 hits out of a full stack, which is probably a bit lower than you'd expect, but that is what it is. Now, not all things have a chance. So here we've got wool, and it just says it's going to take 50 Minecraft joules, and it's going to give us glycine and titanium dioxide as a result. So let's put in 1 piece of wool, and we should get those out. There we go. So every single piece of wool we put in, we are going to get those out. We should get those out. Obviously not. I'm lying. It is obviously only a chance, which is really strange because that's actually saying that we're going to get it out all the time. 60% chance, say that. Sorry, I had this on the wrong mode. It obviously reset when I left the interface. Yeah. So that's something to watch out for. As I said, this is a mod that's a work in process, so there are going to be some bugs show up, and I believe that is one of them. So 60% chance to get these results out. Now, if we take these out, we can put them in here. So if we put titanium dioxide in, we're going to get titanium and oxygen out, and we don't have a percentage chance down here in decompose mode, so we're going to get those out. And the same with the glycine, put that in, 100% chance to get your carbon, your hydrogen, your nitrogen and your oxygen out. So as you can see, we can break these down even further, and we will do that in here. So you will basically end up with your component materials here, and we can then take those component materials and use them in a synthesis machine to make other things. And that is basically the process that you go through with Minecam. You break things down, you get your base elements, and then you construct new chemical compounds, which you then put together to make other things. That is essentially it. Now let's have a look at glass under here. So here we're going to get 4 lots of silicon dioxide, or actually if you put in decompose mode we're going to get 16. If you're going to make it in a synthesizer, that's the recipe you need to use, but 16 per glass. So hopefully we're going to get 16 for every single glass I put in. So as you can see, some materials are going to be more worthwhile than others to decompose. The process of finding them out is something you do alongside having your chemist journal. As you can see, actually the block has its own little unique animation on it, which is really cool when it's working. Well, it's not actually working at the moment, but it's got power, so it's got its own little animation. But there you go, there's the decomposer. We'll have a look at the synthesizer tomorrow, and that will show you what to do with these different elements, how to make stuff to complete the process. So there we go, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.